Democrats need to get their shit together because we need two parties in this country, and we desperately need the one that still concedes elections, doesn't sell the office, and doesn't want to completely switch out democratic rule of law for a rubber-stamped autocracy. But that party is so fucked up right now, and nothing, to me, symbolized that more than this video. I would love to have AOC on the show, and Mandami and Elizabeth Warren, but I can't subpoena the guests. And I can't fix that what the Democrats are scared of more than anything else, I mean, obviously besides gluten, is being primaried from the far left, even though most Democrats are not far left. They're mild-mannered and moderate, at least at my bathhouse.
All right, everyone. Bill Maher has ignited a relentless storm targeting the Democratic Party, so get ready. During his latest live TV appearance, he went beyond mere criticism. Maher systematically tore apart the layers of doubt and unease that appear to surround today's Democrats.
He's got his mugshot hanging outside the Oval Office. He's literally got a guy working for him named Big Balls. It's like if Gavin Newsom had a henchman named Perfect Hair.
He's calling them out for, well, getting flustered whenever woke voices enter the room. And yes, it's leaving plenty of people scratching their heads. Democrats, in some ways, are starting to resemble the very figures they claim to oppose, a political twist nobody saw coming. Strange, right? Maher isn't just being loud for attention, he's highlighting the importance of courage in politics. And from his perspective, the Democratic Party seems to be running low on it. His critique points to a problem we've all probably noticed, but haven't openly discussed: the apparent shortage of bold, honest political conversation. Are Democrats so wary of their own shadows that meaningful action feels impossible? That's the core of Maher's argument. Ultimately, it serves as a reminder to reflect on how fearless dialogue and the lack of it can shape the future of our nation.
Having sex with Stormy Daniels was wrong, but Trump didn't hide from the camera. Quite the opposite. It looks like he said to the photographer, "Widen that out so you can get these tits."
Before you get completely caught up in this unusual political spectacle, make sure to hit that subscribe button. Keeping up with the news becomes much simpler, and honestly, watching those subscriber numbers climb is always a thrill. You won't regret sticking around for these sharp insights. I promise. So far, we've been diving into just how intense Bill Maher's critique of the Democrats really is.
I'd love to have AOC on the show, and Mandami and Elizabeth Warren, but I can't subpoena the guests. And I can't fix that what the Democrats are scared of more than anything else, I mean, obviously besides gluten, is being primaried from the far left, even though most Democrats are not far left. They're mild-mannered and moderate, at least at my bathhouse.
Now, let's take a closer look at his sharp critique of courage, or more precisely, the clear lack of it within the Democratic Party.
There is one practical thing that Democrats can do right now that would help them regain power. It's never speak to Trump in person. No, I'm kidding. That's stupid. No, it's this. Inspire your moderates to vote in the primaries. Get that base excited. You have the numbers. After Congressman Moulton made his comment about his daughter not getting run over, he added, "But as a Democrat, I'm supposed to be afraid to say that." Well, then change what you're supposed to be.
Maher's observations tackle a serious issue and cut through all the noise. A party that prides itself on progress seems to be held back by its own.
I don't know if we're still banning TikTok. That was before we changed the rule in America to Trump decides what's a law. But I know it wouldn't even be an issue if parents would sack up and tell their kids to get off the fucking phone. Democrats are still afraid of the mean girls who police their far-out
fear. And we have to wonder if boldness is meant to be their core value. Why does fear seem to dominate instead?
Democrats need to get their shit together because we need two parties in this country, and we desperately need the one that still concedes elections, doesn't sell the office, and doesn't want to completely switch out democratic rule of law for a rubber-stamped autocracy. But that party is so fucked up right now, and nothing, to me, symbolized that more than this video.
To understand this better, we need to look at a few specific examples and choices.
Massachusetts Congressman Seth Moulton had a perfect score on LGBTQ issues from the Human Rights Campaign. But when he said, "I have 2 little girls. I don't want them getting run over on a playing field by a male or formerly male athlete," his own campaign manager quit. And the chair of the Salem Democratic City Committee, Liz Bratt, accused Moulton of being, quote, "what is known as a cooperator in Nazi times." Yeah, I think the word you're looking for, moron, is collaborator. And I'm guessing everything you know about Nazi times comes from.
Once celebrated as a stronghold of liberal values, the Democratic Party now finds itself challenged by its own far-left factions, the outspoken minority pushing sometimes extreme agendas. While showcasing diverse perspectives is important, it's clear that these vocal fringe voices are distorting the party's core mission. Many experienced Democrats who should be leading the charge are yielding to pressure from these groups. Fearing backlash from woke activists, they avoid controversial debates altogether. It's striking to watch a party once famed for its bold civil rights leadership become paralyzed by the prospect of upsetting a small but loud minority. Maher points out that even having an honest, straightforward conversation has turned into a major ordeal. Top Democrats often refuse to engage in his initiatives. What's remarkable is that a comedian has emerged as one of the few willing to tackle these tricky issues directly. Maher himself admits how difficult it is to secure support from influential figures like Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama for his plans. Meanwhile, Republicans continue to show up and take responsibility, fully aware of the challenges they face, highlighting a sharp contrast in political courage. This avoidance has real consequences, affecting the party's legislative efforts, political strategy, and connections with constituents. Let's be honest. How can they navigate tough legislative battles or even elections if they're too timid to engage in debate? On this point, Maher doesn't hold back, drawing sharp comparisons to some of the most polarizing figures in politics. He points out that the former president clearly isn't afraid of controversy or debate, whether or not we approve of his methods. Even if the analogy stings, Maher argues that some of the weakest Democrats end up portraying Trump, often criticized for his lack of finesse, as courageous. But why are Democrats so anxious and avoidant? According to Maher, it's the fear of being outpaced by more radical candidates, those who promise agendas aligned with extreme views. This fear creates a political straitjacket, limiting their ability to act decisively. Despite their efforts, they still struggle to balance the needs of a broad, moderate electorate with the demands of a small but vociferous radical faction, leaving the party caught in a cycle of caution and indecision. Their paralyzing caution pushes them so far toward appeasing extremes that they risk alienating the broader public, all out of fear of being outflanked on the left, being vague, or worse, contradictory makes it even harder to win widespread support. Let's take a closer look at some specific issues. Debates around identity politics, cancel culture, and free speech, for example, dominate much of today's democratic discourse. While these topics are undeniably important, Maher argues they shouldn't overshadow the party's entire agenda. As a result, more moderate voices within the party can feel silenced or boxed in, forced to watch as an activist-driven narrative takes center stage. Maher isn't suggesting that activist perspectives be ignored completely. Rather, he seems to be saying, don't let them take the wheel entirely. After all, these concerns aren't coming from the voters who are most crucial at the polls. Most people are simply living their lives, working, supporting their families, and only occasionally paying attention to politics when major events demand it. They believe politicians should stand firm in defending essential rights, work, healthcare, education, and personal safety. Let's pause for a moment. Doesn't it feel frustrating to watch this unfold? These Democrats have long been recognized for championing landmark legislation, yet today, a party that once championed global equality, civil rights, and climate action now seems overly constrained by pressures from both inside and outside its ranks, limiting meaningful progress. Take Congressman Seth Moulton of Massachusetts as a recent example. Known as a strong advocate for the LGBTQ community, he faced intense backlash and made headlines after expressing concerns about biological men participating in women's sports. What does it say about the state of the party if a respected congressman cannot voice worries without being labeled radical? Maher uses these real-life instances to show how quickly and fiercely the backlash can come in a party that claims inclusivity. Despite its reputation as a debate-friendly organization, it often seems at odds with its own principles. In short, Maher's point is clear. Democrats, it's time to wake up. This approach isn't working, and it raises a bigger question. Where did this culture of fear come from, and why is it so pervasive now? The answer may lie in the social media era, where everyone can broadcast their opinions, often at the expense of thoughtful discussion. Debate is stifled when the loudest voices demand cancellation rather than conversation. Maher calls for a return to foundational principles: real courage, true leadership, and a willingness to engage in difficult public discussions without turning the party itself into a battlefield. Amidst all the turmoil, it comes across as a plea for normalcy. He argues that fear is reflected not just in individual Democrats, but in how the party formulates policies. Constantly monitoring themselves for social acceptability becomes a dangerous distraction, fostering a tendency toward appeasement instead of reasoned, courageous decision-making, qualities essential for strong leadership. Maher also offers solutions. One step he suggests is for Democrats to engage more with people beyond their loudest social media followers and activist circles. By doing so, they might reclaim some of the bravery that has been lost and reconnect with the broader values that should guide their actions. This means learning to take criticism in stride and use it constructively, rather than avoiding it out of fear. Next, Democrats should focus more on the real issues affecting everyday Americans, topics that go beyond liberal strongholds and college campuses and resonate with the broader middle class. The third, and perhaps most vital step, is breaking free from the destructive cycle of fear-driven reactive politics. Maher emphasizes that disagreeing with extreme viewpoints doesn't amount to betraying the party. Standing firm instead of yielding to radicals moves the party closer to a rational, balanced center. Policies that naturally appeal to more voters. By following this approach, Maher argues, Democrats can regain the respect of both voters and the cautious observers who are always watching their every move. Democrats need to focus on more than just the loudest voices in activist circles or the topics driving identity politics. True progress comes from championing issues that affect everyday Americans, support for economic initiatives, climate policies, and human rights. These are the areas that impact people's daily lives, jobs, healthcare, education, safety, and they deserve as much attention as any social debate. Maher has repeatedly pointed out that a party once celebrated for bold leadership and civil rights advocacy now risks being paralyzed by fear, often avoiding honest discussion out of concern for backlash. By learning to accept and utilize criticism instead of running from it, Democrats can regain a sense of purpose and confidence. They must address real-world concerns rather than letting wokeness dominate the conversation and distract from meaningful policy debates. Engaging directly with voters who feel excluded or even disenfranchised is essential. These citizens aren't absorbed in activist forums or social media campaigns. They're working, supporting families, and only occasionally following politics when major events arise. Reaching them with policies grounded in rational, balanced leadership is the path to restoring trust. Breaking free from fear-driven reactive politics is crucial. Maher emphasizes that disagreeing with radical viewpoints doesn't equate to betraying the party. Instead, it moves Democrats toward a more coherent, reasoned center that appeals to a wider audience and demonstrates the courage voters expect. Confronting challenges head-on rather than avoiding tough conversations allows the party to regain respect and showcase the bravery it has lost over time. So what do you think? Are Democrats making things harder for themselves by letting fear and extremes dictate their choices? Or can they shift course, reclaim their composure, and return to a bolder, more principled path that speaks to the concerns of all Americans? Your thoughts matter because both you and I are watching closely.